Hello and welcome to AEW Unrestricted. It is the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling, where the best wrestle. I am referee Aubrey Edwards, but I am also co-host of this podcast, along with my best friend, co-host Will Washington, who also does fun behind-the-scenes stuff as I wave my arms around in a magic motion like I'm Nigel McGuinness. You do a lot of fun creative stuff. You help our show run behind the scenes. There's so many other amazing things, and I'm just so grateful that we get to work together at this awesome company.
I know, me too. Like I feel myself grateful and thankful for every opportunity I get in AEW, and sometimes I just get to have like great days where I'm like, we are so lucky to get to be a part of AEW, especially at this time in AEW's history, and I love it. I love it, and I'm also thankful to our presenting sponsor, Upper Deck. And you can collect your favorite wrestlers in 2025 Upper Deck AEW and start your trading card collection today. Unwrap autograph, memorabilia, or premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. See our fancy Upper Deck kind of everywhere. You've got the hat. I've got my sweater.
You got the shirt.
They're on the arcade. Yeah. And also, we've got cards here. And we're
doing blind open today, right?
Yeah, blind open. See what we got here.
It's exciting. I know we're a couple weeks away from All In Texas, so I'm excited. Like thinking about like all of the matches that are coming up and what all.
Yeah, I mean, think about some of the announcements we've made, like Okada versus Kenny, winner take all, Continental Champion versus International Champion. Let's see what else we've got here. Unwrapping.
It's funny enough. I got two people from the Shane Taylor promotions back to back. I've got Shane Taylor and I've got Lee Moriarty that I literally pulled first out of the pack. That was great.
Well, I've got the winner of the Men's Owen Hart Foundation Cup Tournament, Hangman Adam Page, the man who is challenging Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. Got our buddy Hologram.
Oh, I got a hologram card too. What an incredible talent. I can't, like, he's been with us for only I think about a year now, he's already like because he debuted in the Texas residency. Funny enough, we're talking about Texas and it's like pull hologram. I also just pulled, where is it? I like these cards. It says here from the start featuring MJF because he was a day one guy. So I know he's recently joined up with the Hurt Syndicate. It's been really fun seeing kind of him play off of MVP a little bit, along with Shelton and Roberto, I think is what MVP called him on TV the other day. I popped for that pretty hard. It was great.
We've also got these cool Double or Nothing playing cards. This one right here featuring Ricochet.
Ooh, we finally got one from Mr. Bald himself. I've got a couple of Double or Nothing cards here. I just pulled one. I think of our guest today, Will. By the way, who is it?
Well, Aubrey, he's AEW's youngest signed talent, a former AEW World Trios champion, a member of the Patriarchy, and the current ROH World Television Champion. Welcome to Unrestricted, Nick Wayne. Nick, thanks for being here.
Thank you guys for having me. How you guys doing?
Doing great. We've been waiting to have you on the show for quite some time.
A long time, sir.
Well, I think what we needed was for you to get some more accolades under your belt and actually walk in here as now a former and current champion.
Yes, there we go. There we go.
Also, just recently coming off of a trip to Japan, because it's like not like you haven't done enough in the 2 years that you've been in AEW. That's obviously like it's the most recent thing. I kind of want to talk about that. Like, you were a part of the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. What was that like?
It was a dream come true, to be honest. I've been like manifesting and just like dreaming of doing Best of Super Juniors for years now. And it was cool to like set the record to be the youngest participant in the tournament. But the schedule was pretty grueling. I had 14 matches in 22 days. There was a lot of traveling, very few off days. But I really enjoyed the schedule. You know, I really like just like the consistency of wrestling. I like, you know, pushing through like tiredness and pain and stuff, like just let's go. So it was really cool for me to do, and just being a part of like a new atmosphere like New Japan and all those guys, you know, I respect so much of them. So it was just a very cool opportunity and a great experience for me.
So let's talk about the actual outcome of the the Best of Super Juniors, and the fact that again, it was a who's who of names that got to participate, and to see you kind of amongst that talent and see you kind of get to perform the way you did. Again, what was the whole experience like for you?
It was great, being around all those guys. Some of them, are like the best juniors to ever do it. Some of them are up and coming juniors like myself. So it's a really good like combination of people. There's this one guy I wrestled, Taguchi. He's done 21 Best of Super Juniors before, which is like unreal. But yeah, it was an honor, truly an honor to be a part of that tournament.
I want to know, because I've never been to Japan, but everyone who goes to Japan comes back and says it's absolutely incredible. So what is your favorite part about going to Japan? Because this is not your first time.
Well, me personally, I really like the wrestling. I think everyone in Japan is so good. I really like just their style of wrestling. But outside of wrestling, I really like the food. The food is like so good. That you can eat like raw meats and stuff and like raw eggs, and like it's totally cool. Like it's like so normal to them. So like I really like the food. I really like the atmosphere. The cities are so clean and so beautiful, and so many like tall buildings and bright lights and stuff. I really love like the city life. So Japan and Tokyo and stuff is just beautiful.
How many matches did you end up working? It was 13, was it?
14.
14.
Yeah.
14 in 22 days. That's ridiculous. Like I would not be able to walk. So
yeah, it's a little difficult, but we're getting through.
A little difficult. You're not even 20 years old yet, dude. Shut the hell up.
Let's talk about that piece of it, right? Because I think that's a thing that probably comes up with everybody you meet in professional wrestling, which is the fact that you're not even 20. You signed with AEW at 16. I remember it breaking the news all over the place that Darby presented you with a contract at Defy, and at 16 years old, you were the youngest man signed to AEW. And then you got to make your debut a year and a half later. So first, I want to talk about that opportunity, knowing that you got to be the youngest man signed to an AEW contract, 16 years old, and you were already making buzz all around the indies, all around the internet, all knew who Nick Wayne was. What was that like for you, knowing that now you've got a year and a half to prepare for making your on-screen debut?
Well, first off, getting presented with the contract was like a complete surprise to me. I had no idea. Of course, I had no idea it was happening, but like I had no clue that Darby was even in town in Seattle. So like the whole thing was just like a complete surprise to me. So that day was like, it's forever going to be special to me. And breaking that record is like something that I will hold forever, like super close to me. But then knowing after that it was like a year and a half of preparation, it was kind of just like, okay, like, what more can I knock off the bucket list really quick? And like, what do I think I need to prepare to like be ready? So I really.
It is weird to even think of a teenager having a bucket list, by the way.
I got one. I got a long one.
I wasn't even watching wrestling at 16, so this is all like fascinating to me.
I got a long bucket list.
Well, like, what do you think about like the idea of a bucket list? Like, it's supposed to be things to do before you kick the bucket, like things to do before I die. And you're like, at 16, you're like, all right, I got to knock these things off.
But yeah, it was kind of like a year and a half of preparation, kind of like, what do I need to do to get prepared? So I called out, like a lot of big guys. I tried to go for the best promotions. I started going internationally. Like I really just wanted to like stamp my name as well and get myself very prepared. So people are like, wow, like Nick Wayne is kind of like, I wanted to become like presented as like a big deal, like I done this and gotten to do all this stuff before AEW. Not that I was just like some random kid who just got a contract and it's like, okay, 18, let's wrestle, Nah, I wanted to like set records and really do like a lot of great things before I was 18. So when I came in, like the presentation felt bigger. And I think I did a pretty good job at that, Mexico and Japan and the UK and stuff all before 18. It's truly an honor for me. But yeah.
I remember because I wasn't at Defy that day. So I saw like it happening on social and it's like, oh, Darby's in Seattle. I'm like, oh, like that idea of like something like a possibility pops into your head of like, I wonder if they're going to do this, and then seeing the photo of you backstage with like the little clipboard, like signing it, like that was just the coolest thing. And I'm like, I've been in that room. I know that exact room. Like I've changed in that room, dude. This is so freaking cool. And then seeing kind of the next year and a half take place and seeing you like make these call outs, like you mentioned, like calling out these big names, like who were some of the names on that list that you were like, I need to wrestle this person before I have to, you know, become a responsible adult and start my job at a wrestling company?
Yeah. I think Kenta was at the top of my list, and I eventually got it. He was the one who beat me for the Defy World Champion. I've gotten to wrestle a lot of people that I idolize, to be honest, like him and the great Sasuke, a lot of people in AEW. But thinking pre-AEW, there was a lot, even just like guys on the independents that I watched, like, you know, like Leo Rushes or like Shane Strickland, you know, like all that type of stuff. There's so many guys that I watched like just very young in PWG and Ring of Honor and stuff that I eventually got to step in the ring with at a very young age. I'm like, wow, is this real life? Petey Williams, Alex Shelley, like so sick. So sick.
Well, that, you know, one of the names you mentioned there was Swerve Strickland, who ended up becoming kind of a big part of your story and your journey leading up to your TV debut, in that, yeah, you got to wrestle him a number of times. And it almost became the development of kind of the more sadistic side of who we got to see him become on screen. Really, he got to test that with you in beating you in front of your mom. And that became kind of like a big deal at these Defy shows of like, oh no, Nick Wayne's mom is here and Swerve is going to, like, what's he going to do to him? And
he's going to kick his head off.
Yeah. So I wanted to start with that. Like, how did all of that kind of start to come about as far as your mom's introduction into everything that was going on with you and Swerve on the indies?
So me and Swerve's first interaction was at a Defy show. I don't think it was the title match. This was the first one we had. It was at a Defy show.
Yeah.
I
think it was the one where you got the contract, wasn't it?
No, I wrestled Christopher Daniels that day.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that all makes sense. That's a full circle.
Yes, yeah. Now it makes sense. I remember.
Of course, you're going to get a contract.
I remember you wrestled Swerve in February, though. Like it was that same month, something along those lines. But it was at the beginning of 2022.
Yes, when I wrestled Swerve. Yes, around February 2022. Yeah. Yeah, we wrestled. It was our first match. There was like a little interaction between him and my mom. You know, my mom like ran up to the ring and was like, you know, it was in a very like gruesome part of the match. And he started like chit-chatting back and forth with my mom. And then I kind of got back on top. Then we didn't see each other again until maybe a year later at Defy again for the Defy World Champion, which I eventually beat him and became the new and my first time Defy World Champion. That match, I don't believe there was an interaction between him and my mom. But then fast forward to my debut, which that night that I beat him for the title, he then called me out saying your first match in AEW will be against me. Fast forward to my debut in AEW, me and Swerve, just the interaction and stuff with my mom was... It was very cool for my mom to be there, you know, like front row for my debut match. I wouldn't want it any other way. So I'm very happy she got to be there to experience that. But her kind of past with Swerve started like a long time ago, from when I was like 16, from our very first match. And it turned into what it turned into. It got pretty crazy. But yeah, it all started when I was about 16.
And that debut on TV was in Canada. And so, like, it's Saskatchewan. I remember kind of all of the anticipation for it, the buildup of like making sure, like, okay, he's going to be able to come to Canada. He's going to be able to wrestle in Canada. Like, we got to make sure everything is like T's are crossed, I's are dotted, and that he is going to be able to make this moment happen. Because there was a lot of anticipation for it. What were your nerves like going into having to wrestle in Canada? It was that was that Canadian tour we had in the summer of 2023. And so just kind of setting the scene here, you had known for quite some time when you were going to have your first match, who you were going to have your first match with. What was the anticipation for that like? How were your nerves? And when you walked through the curtain, how did you feel?
So leading up to it, thankfully, like, the closer we got like to the date, obviously kind of like my nerves would build and whatnot. But weeks before the debut, thankfully I was very like busy. Like I got to tour Japan for 2.5 weeks. I come back to the States off of a delayed flight, land in Connecticut, go straight to a show. The show had already started. I show up like halfway through the show, wrestle in Connecticut. Next day on my birthday, drive to New Jersey, wrestle in Jersey, come home for a day. Then I had like one day to like, kind of calm down, then go to Canada. So the one day I had, it was like, okay, let's chill, but like it's go time. So that's when the nerves really started to build up. And then the day before previous, the travel day, I was so nervous all day. Like nerves, I like to think is a good thing because it shows you care, but I was just so nervous. I remember the entire day. Finally was able to fall asleep. The second I woke up, it was like, oh my God, today's the day. But the craziest part was because it's in such like a small part of Canada, like just like a different part of Canada, I had to have a layover from Seattle. And it was like, I did the first half of the flight and it was delayed and I missed the second part of it. So then the day of the show, I had to go to a different part of Canada to then get to AEW. So it was pretty close. I was like, please God, don't let me miss my debut.
Oh man, you're bringing up a whole lot of PTSD now. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a traveling nightmare day. I remember that. Yeah.
Dude, those whole couple weeks like were pretty bad. Like
yeah.
It was those little Canadian cities that they don't realize how lucky they were that we all showed up and were able to put on these awesome shows. And awesome shows they were. There's so much more to talk about with Nick Wayne. He's done so much in just the 2 years he's been at AEW. We've got more to talk about here on AEW Unrestricted coming up right after the break. Unrestricted. AEW Unrestricted, Aubrey and Will, and we are talking to the young, the amazing Nick Wayne, who has already had an incredible start at AEW, and like the world's your friggin' oyster, man. Like I remember the first time I saw you wrestle, everyone had already been talking about like how great you were, and obviously like we run the same circles, so having worked with all of the people you've trained with at Buddy Wayne Academy, like the opinion of you was already so high, and then seeing you work at like 15. I'm like, this guy's got it. Like he's going places. And that was the craziest thing because I don't think people realize that like we see young people come to, but it's like young people in AEW are like 24 or 25. Like they're still kind of like they've had a few years on the indies after being able to legally vote to do a couple things. But you literally like had your birthday 2 days later, you're on national television wrestling one of your rivals because your career is already that storied, which is insane to me and so freaking cool. And I'm so insanely proud of you. Anyway, let's get to more questions.
Thank you so much.
All of that being said, because that was all the good stuff. Eventually, you sort of took a turn, and I was legitimately like furious with you. We were in, I think it was Wrestle Dream in Seattle, and you turned on Darby Allin, which I'm pretty certain I cried because Darby Allin, this person who has meant so much to you, who offered you a contract, and you turned on him, you monster.
Yeah, things needed to change.
Right. And then you end up tying up with, Christian Cage, your mom joins, you have this group of the Patriarchy. Like you have this incredible guy behind you, Christian Cage, who has done so much in his career. What has it been like sort of being a part of a group with Christian and learning all of the things from him? Like, is there anything that really stands out that he's taught you as the father figure that he is?
Well, I feel like being under his learning tree is like so great again, because of like how long his career has been and everything that he's done in wrestling. Like, I feel like he's like one of the smartest people, maybe in wrestling period. But for sure in AEW, he's so smart in every aspect of wrestling, but specifically what like he's helped me the most with is like promos and just like, talking and like a lot of like presentation as well, of like how to present yourself as like, something more and like feel like you're bigger. And, but like really a lot in talking, and I've gotten really comfortable with it recently. And then just like verbiage and stuff as well. And just like, again, presentation and even in talking. But it goes all the way down to in-ring stuff. After all my matches, I always tell him like, please pick me apart, like tell me everything. So yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better mentor in this time that I've been under his learning tree.
Legitimately, like, he's a father figure. He's sitting there watching the monitor as you're wrestling. I can attest to this every single time you're on screen. So it's like, it's not just in story. It's quite literally, he is a father figure mentoring you and you're learning from him. And it's great that AEW has given you this like opportunity so early in your career.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
And it's interesting that everything kind of came together the way it did through that summer, where we really wanted to introduce the fans to kind of who Nick Wayne is, and in doing so, we introduced the fans to the Buddy Wayne Academy. We brought that on screen, and so I wanted to talk about kind of how all of that came together, and Darby himself is such a master of what he does from a cinematic standpoint and wanting to put these kinds of things together. And it was such a big deal doing that moment with you guys in the Buddy Wayne Academy. I wanted to talk kind of about you essentially getting to bleed all over the canvas that night and on camera for everybody. Then how did all that come together, and how did you feel about the introduction of all of that as an on-screen story part of AEW?
Are we talking like the introduction video to an AEW, or like when Fox and Swerve like invaded my house?
Both, honestly. We let's go with both, because
we gotta talk about both. Those are all.
We gotta talk about both, because we gotta talk about, one is the introduction of it, and then two is you getting pulverized there and bloodied on a mat that means so much to you.
Yeah, so we'll start with the introduction. Like you said, Darby's pretty smart when it comes to like the cinematic type of things. But honestly, for me, it was kind of like they just sat me down and hooked me up to a mic, and they're like, just tell us your story, Mm-hmm. So I just go on and talk for about 20 minutes. And I get like pretty like emotional still sometimes, like talking about my dad and kind of just like the day I found out and everything like that. But yeah, it was just tell your story, So it was like, yeah, that's kind of how that all came about. And the rest was like all, Darby and the people who helped make the video and stuff. Again, very smart, like cinematically. But then going to a few months later when Swerve and Fox invaded me in the school, I was training with some of the students, and Fox and Swerve came through, beat up some of the students, beat up some of me. It was down to just them two and me. And they took a picture of me and my father that is hung up in the school, bashed the picture frame over my head. A piece of the glass slit the top of my head so deep. I was drenched in blood. The mat was drenched in blood. There was glass everywhere. It was insane. The scar I have on my head, the laceration on my head was unreal. Like I've never lost so much blood in my life. Yeah.
It was terrible.
it was terrible. And a lot of people were very like disturbed by how much blood I bled. And I remember when my mom first saw me, she like gasped so crazy and screamed out, like you would have just guessed you saw like a murder. It was so crazy. But yeah. Unreal. I don't even want to think about it. I don't even like relive in the moment.
It's okay.
It's wild because you see that happen, and it's one of the uniquenesses of you being as young as you are, right? Like we see occasionally wrestlers bleed on TV in matches or through segments or whatever it may be, but there's something about, and I mean this in a term of endearment, a child bleeding on television and just the emotion that it invokes in all of us. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I have seen my friends literally post like chaining videos in this garage. So like, I've never been to Buddy Wayne Academy, but I've seen the inside of it enough that like, I'm having this like visceral emotional response to this because those students are my friends.
Yeah.
I'm like messaging them after like, Austin, you okay? Or like all of these guys, like, it was just, oh my God, that I think that was one of the best, like, sorry for you in the moment, but like the incredible amount of storytelling that came out of that and the setup that it had and just kind of how it, I think, skyrocketed you to the level of importance that you've earned and you deserve at this point in your career. It was phenomenal storytelling, despite the giant gash on your head and the fear that your mother felt.
And that was where I was going to go with that next, is the fact that despite, I suppose, the horror of those moments, this ultimately led to you getting to perform at Wembley Stadium. And that just a few weeks later, we're late August in Wembley Stadium, and in a match that involved Sting and Darby, and you getting to make a moment and have a moment with those guys in front of that many fans, is the largest attendance AEW's ever had. What was that like for you?
Ooh, unreal. Being like 16 and just like seeing this atmosphere, because like you said, it was just like a small bit in the match, but getting to run full sprint like down this aisle, and it's just like covered in people here, and it's just like a dome of people. I was like, this is unreal. Yeah, truly, like maybe like highlight of my career, honestly. Like that, definitely the most people I've ever been in front of. That was crazy. But yeah, that moment is something that I'll forever cherish, forever. Like just being in an atmosphere with that many people, and then again, like Sting, Darby, Christian, Swerve, like it was great. It was something that I'll cherish forever. Very grateful that I got to be a part of that.
Oh my God. There's more to talk about. I'm going to take a quick break because I feel like we're going to kind of go long in the next one, just the relationships that you have with all the people at AEW and these backstories. So stay tuned here on Unrestricted. We're talking to Nick Wayne, the young prodigy that he is, and the amazing wrestler that he is. Stay tuned. Unrestricted. AEW Unrestricted, Aubrey and Will talking to Nick Wayne, the young, the amazing, the bright future having Nick Wayne. One of the things that I've really enjoyed seeing, and I want to kind of ask what it's like for you to experience it, but seeing your mom become sort of the person that she is, the ever imposing Mother Wayne as part of the patriarchy. And I know we saw her a little bit, like even at your debut, just watching front row, and to see her sort of transform into, someone who's doing promos to now someone who's by your side all the time. What is it like being a part of a company with your legitimate mother?
It's something that I would never expect. That's for sure.
I don't think any of us did.
No, not even her. But honestly, it all started from like my debut match, and like they kept the camera on her the entire time during my debut match. And people were just like, you're like a natural. And it's like, you're not even like trying to be someone, you're just being yourself. And like, This is great, So then kind of over time, we'd use her a little bit more in like the same kind of aspects, just like in the crowd. And people were like, this is like great. So they wanted to keep going. And it's like, it's real, like this is my actual mom. And I don't think like there's ever been like a faction or anything with a mother and son duo before. So it was something that we wanted to like, kind of invent, I think. But then, yeah, the more that like things kind of got presented, it was like, we want to make you like a full on-screen character. And then like my mom's not a wrestler, she hadn't trained to be a wrestler, never been in a ring or anything. So her spot as a manager just like fit perfect, and now she's kind of learning how to talk and like get in times to talk and stuff and hold a microphone. But ultimately it's crazy just to like be around in a locker room full of so many people. You're seeing so many different faces throughout the day. And then at one point it's just like, oh, there's my mom over there just chatting with someone, which is so crazy. And I know like definitely I'm very thankful for it right now, but I know later in life it's going to be something that I'm going to be very like happy that it happened,
Sure. You got to think about the fact that like a lot of us, when we think about the career we're going to move into and we move into our careers, we kind of separate from our parents and our mom especially. And it's like to get to move into a place where you got a spotlight shown on you. You're a champion and a multiple time champion at that. And then you've got your real life mom who's like there at all times as all of it happens, getting to cheer you on, getting to see you through this. That's something that like, honestly, sometimes I'm like, man, I wish my mom were, here to see this. I just had a big moment. And it's like, you actually get to have that. That's actually pretty awesome.
Thank you. A few people have told me the same thing. They're like, I wish my mom was here.
It's one of those things where I'm like, it'd be kind of cool. Like, dude, the guy's like 19. Like, maybe if his mom wasn't around, like, let him loose a little bit. But then I'm like, no, that's really, really friggin' dope. Especially with like how much the two of you have gone through together. With the, the unfortunate passing of your dad and all that. I'm going to put over Nick real quick because I saw this once happen. Because we all still live in Seattle, I'm frequently on the same flights as them. And there was one time, I think it was your mom's birthday, where she trots in and sits in first class. And I was like, oh, somebody got an upgrade. She goes, no, Nick gave me a seat. And it's just like, that's the kind of stuff that you do all the time. Like she talks about you so highly all the time because we're just hanging out in the locker room in between stuff at work. And it's just to see the joy that you bring your mother in real time is a really like cool thing that I get to experience. So thank you for giving me that.
Nah, that's awesome. Thank you for telling me that. That's awesome.
And it's the honest truth. I've had many conversations with her and like she glows so much talking about you. And it's just like, but again, it's one of those rare things where, you encounter moms all the time who get to talk about their kids, but never in the same space. It's like, oh, you should see what my son's doing. No, it's like literally my son is on screen right now and he's having this awesome 4-way match. And I am getting to see him light this crowd up and do the best work that he's done to date. And not yet what he's going to accomplish. And the way she talks about how like we have yet to unlock the potential of Nick Wayne is just incredible. And again, it makes me smile. Like as a parent myself, I'm like, I see it and I feel it. Like parents, you just kind of have that vibe when you talk about your kids. And like, it's so genuine from her. And again, it's one of those things where I'm like, God, I wish my mom was at work with me.
Yeah,
most people won't say it. Most people won't like actually admit that, but it is a genuinely great feeling, and do not take that for granted.
No, never. The goal is to give her back the world one day.
Oh, wonderful. So we talk about your mom, but I do have to kind of talk about your dad a little bit because he unfortunately tragically passed. Was there ever a time growing up with a father in wrestling that you were like ever not going to be a wrestler, or was that just kind of like the given?
No, it was like a given, but like it wasn't like forced at all. Like it was just like being around the atmosphere and him having like a wrestling school and me like constantly watching the students train. And then when there wasn't training, like he was watching some type of wrestling. So I was always watching that. And then, as a kid, I like wrestling. So I get action figures and now I'm playing with the action figures all the time. It was like everywhere I looked or was around, there was like some type of form of professional wrestling. So it was like almost impossible for me not to fall in love with it. So I would say it was definitely like a given, something I wanted to do since I was very young.
And then, so you were around the academy quite a bit then, and kind of getting to know talent, and that was how you became acquainted with Darby.
Yep.
Okay. So how did that relationship kind of start early on, as he was a student of Buddy Wayne?
So I met him when I was about 9 years old, and at the time we had classes every Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and over time, him and another one of our students, they were like married to each other, and all they wanted to do was be in the ring. They're like, anytime Buddy will open the door, please let us in. So they would come almost every day, like 5-6 days a week. They would come in and train with Buddy. And then of course with the class and stuff, but they wanted like extra time. So they would come almost every day. So I started seeing Darby almost every day. So then eventually we start going on trips together. And of course he likes skateboarding. He'd start taking me to the skate park and whatnot. We would just go do things and dinners and activities and stuff. So eventually like our bond just became way tighter, and that's kind of like what made us so close, just being around each other so consistently.
And that's one of the things he's talked about, is that after your dad passed, he kind of really wanted to take a big kind of a big responsibility in being a part of your life after that.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you seeing Darby climb Everest? Like, were you terrified? Were you excited?
Oh man, that is the amount of like training and preparation that goes into that just itself is like unreal. But the fact that it takes 2 months to like climb this thing is crazy. So when I found out it was like 2 months, that really blew my mind. And I was like, oh my God. And then they say like people like don't make it sometimes when they're trying to climb Everest. And I'm like, Wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of like, I don't want to talk about it just in case, like we're all hoping the best, but like knock on wood.
Yeah. So, I mean, congratulations on him. He did it. But yeah, it's insane.
I mean, when you think about like the amount of things, like, obviously I was worried for the man, and I love Darby, but it was also one of those things where it's like the amount of things we've watched him survive. I thought, you know what? This is just another one of those things. This is another thing he's gonna come back from, and he's gonna be the same Darby that we always know of. It's like he's not gonna do that. He's not. Yep, he did. He did.
Yeah, and I don't think you could kill him.
No,
I don't think it's possible.
He'll just hobble away a little slower. He'll never die.
No.
It's one of those, like, I think when Darby said, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, none of us like argued, because it's like, oh yeah, no, he would be the guy to do that. If you were to pick anyone on the AEW roster who could pull off climbing Everest, it would be that guy, because it's like a combination of both the drive to do it, but also just like that like switch that's not there of like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, like complete disregard for self-preservation. But even though like Everest, you have to like preserve yourself so well, so yeah, congrats to him.
He's always had a couple loose screws.
Right.
Something real funny, really quick. His first day of training at the school, he walked into the school with a shaved head and toy cars super glued to his head.
I remember hearing that.
Yeah, that's a true thing.
I need more of a descriptor here, because how can this be?
I mean, like,
it's just him and his friends, and they like film like YouTube videos and stuff, like funny skits and whatnot. But this was just like funny things that they did, I guess. So I wish you could have seen my dad's face when he walked in. Like, are we serious?
Like, you're going to have a hard time rolling with all those toys glued to your head, man.
Yeah.
So as we're sort of nearing the end of this conversation, what has been your favorite thing about joining AEW and being a part of this company?
Definitely. I think just being around so many like wise people who like know what they're saying and are like successful in wrestling, or were once successful in wrestling. Like, we have so many like legends and just like smart people that can teach me like infinitely. Like, for as long as time goes on, they can give you something, and we have it from like multiple sources. So I'm very big on like learning, and like I would call myself a very big like student of the game. So I've seen all these guys work before, and I'm like, all of you, please just give me something.
Right. Yeah, no, it was literally dynamite this last week. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to completely pull back the curtain, but like after a match, just the amount of people who have done incredible things who come forward and are just like, hey, did you think about this? Did you think about this? Did you think about that? And like, I'm not a wrestler, but I'm just sitting here going like, oh, wow, this is like a completely different way to think about things. So I totally see what you're saying. Like, just having that knowledge, but also just the idea that everyone wants to help each other grow. Like, oh my God. I know in other interviews before you've mentioned Jerry Lynn a lot. Has it been awesome working with him?
Super. Oh, so sick. I think he's one of the best juniors to ever do it. So,
hands down.
Yeah. So it's super sick getting to work with him, and he's still like, he's just so like lively as a human, So I really like that as well.
And then, like, honestly, again, just one of my favorite things to watch is how much everybody is, in a sense, protective of you, and not just as a young student, but also everybody kind of sees you as their brother in a way. And I love watching that. I love watching the interactions with Billy. I love just watching all of that. It always feels like because she's just slightly ahead of you. It always feels like you're the one person she gets to be like the older sibling to.
Yeah, definitely. Probably the only one. Yeah.
What's that relationship been like, being kind of the two youngest people to step into AEW?
It's awesome. Me and Billy, first time, we were supposed to wrestle one time in Indiana on my 16th birthday. we were supposed to have a singles match. And I remember the promoter was like, we have to do it. You know, Billy's like 16 at the time and Nick's turning 16 today. So at the time when he booked me, I was 15. He was like, we have to do this match. Like, it writes itself, you know? But she ended up getting like really, like not really hurt, but her ankle really messed up like the day before. It was super swollen, like the size of a baseball. So we weren't able to do it. But then we met like a few months later in like a scramble match where it was like a bunch of young guys, like 20 and under, maybe one over 20, and then like a 72-year-old wrestler in a scramble. That was our first time meeting. Yeah. But like, we hit it off instantly. And like, because we're so young, you know, we have like similar experiences as like young wrestlers and whatnot. We were kind of doing like the same things at the same time, you know, like on the independents and then like the rise up and then AEW at similar times. Like, it's pretty cool, like kind of getting to be on like the same path, you know. It's very cool. So we've been really close since we were really young. We've had a bunch of matches. So yeah, really tight relationship right there.
It was really awesome. I think we were in Orlando when Billy had her first match with AEW Dark. And I think the first thing many people said as soon as she was there was like, oh, Nick Wayne's coming up soon. Like, we just all knew because you guys had been so neck and neck on the indies. Like, you two were the next up and coming. So it just made sense that like, okay, if Billy's here, Nick's going to be here soon anyway. And like, we obviously knew because you had signed the contract and stuff. And man, it was just, oh man, I'm so happy you're here. And it's just been so cool to like watch your success happen like up close and then to see it happening on a weekly basis and to see you get all these cool opportunities, like to go to Japan and just how humble you are still with how much cool stuff you've done and knowing how much, because it's a given. You have so much ahead of you. Like the amount of things that you will be able to accomplish in this career is, I don't think there's any limitation. I think as long as there are no limitations put on you, like the world's your oyster, bro. Like, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hey, you got to see a lot of cool things since I was like 13. You ref like my first ever singles match, I think, when I was like 13.
Yeah, I think it was like you in a tag and like a VFW in Everett or something. Like, it was wild.
Yes. Yeah,
your mom's like in the back watching.
Yes, and that was like my.
This I didn't know. This is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like he had these little like blue and white pants with the heart on the butt, and he was literally like a child.
Yes.
And it was a tag match. I think it was like Darby was also in the match.
Cody was my partner.
Yeah, Cody Chun, I think. Yeah. So it was like it was wild. Yeah. So Nick and I go way back. I've literally been reffing his matches since he was a quite literal child.
Yeah.
And these are those moments that we're gonna look back on when he's had a storied career. When we're gonna, I mean, the thing is, again, you're only 19. Like, there's so much ahead for Nick Wayne. I can't wait to the next 5 times we have you on this show and look back at the beginning of Nick Wayne's career and marvel at how far you've come. And again, it's just beginning for you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for having me as well. I hope we do these a million more times.
Oh, dude, there's going to be so many opportunities because you're just going to win titles left and right and have all these awesome opportunities and punch down all these doors and do all this cool shit. So thanks, man. Really appreciate that we finally got you on Unrestricted. Yes. For everyone listening, you can listen to Unrestricted new episodes every Thursday on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Be sure to follow Nick Wayne. You can follow him on Instagram and on Twitter at the Nick Wayne. Just a reminder that AEW Unrestricted is sponsored in part by Upper Deck. You can collect your favorite wrestlers in the 2025 Upper Deck and start your trading card collection today. You can unwrap autograph, memorabilia, or premium tech inserts. Visit upperdeck.com to learn more. You can follow this podcast. As I said, new episodes every Thursday. You can also watch the video episode Mondays on YouTube. Just search AEW Unrestricted. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you're not, are you an AEW insider? You really should be, because you can get early access to ticket pre-sales, special merchandise offers, more straight to your inbox. Just sign up today, AEWTix.com, where you can get those live tickets to all of the awesome shows like AEW Dynamite on TBS, Wednesday nights, 8 p.m., streaming on Max, AEW Collision live every Saturday on TNT, ROH streams on Thursday on Honor Club Twitch. This guy is currently the television champion. I'm Aubrey Edwards with my best friend, Will Washington. Thank you so much for listening to AEW Unrestricted. Peace out. Yeah.